right, Rick's Smiley Morning Show, 9 minutes. 9 minutes after the hour, y'all. Hey, it is about that time. Jeff Johnson got 3 things you need to know. What up, Jeff?
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Man, listen, there is so much going on, Rick. I'm not even sure where to start, but there's so much politics this week. Many of you watched the 5th debate last night. And you know what, Rick? I think the most exciting thing about the 5th debate was that it was at Tyler Perry Studios.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, one, I think the impeachment hearings are looming so heavy that it was difficult for the candidates to really go hard at each other when they are, as a party, really aligned on what was pretty damning testimony over the last 2 days against the president. But it didn't. But I mean, let me ask you this: are you excited about any candidate?
Mm-mm. I'm gonna be honest, Jeff. No.
And you and I have been following politics for a long time, and we know that there's never a perfect candidate, especially running for president.
Right.
But I just don't remember a field that seems so uninspiring. And for Biden to continue to be what traditional Democrats are leaning to as the answer, he just continues to prove that he's not. And whether it's him bumbling through statements, whether it's him continuing to show his disconnected nature to not only communities of color, but I just think in general.
And Jeff, you know he's going to be in studio. He's coming here in a couple of hours.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I hope that he's able to continue to have conversation. But you and I both know if he was doing as well as everyone anticipated, Deval Patrick and Bloomberg wouldn't be entering the race.
Right.
And that's a whole nother conversation that we can get to another time. But my hope is that we've got one more debate before the end of the year. If this impeachment hearing continues the way it looks like it's going, it's going to suck so much air out of the political space. It's going to be interesting to see how these candidates continue to navigate, you know, going into Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina. The second thing, man, is that Sondland, who is the EU ambassador, United States ambassador to the European Union, said, as many of you know, that yes, there was quid quo pro yesterday in his testimony. And what's interesting is because I don't think a lot of people understand how you become ambassador. Now, Rick, do you know how you become ambassador?
No.
You ultimately become ambassador based on how heavily you support the candidate. So Sondland is a guy who wrote $1 million check to Trump's campaign.
Mm.
So this is not somebody that was just some dude I picked, right? When you ambassador, especially when you're talking about ambassador to the European Union, you know, that's not, you know, ambassador to a third world country that normally people aren't jockeying for.
Right.
This is a serious position and somebody who you obviously trust. And so for someone who wrote $1 million check to your campaign and was part of your ride or die crew to now be testifying that you broke the law is heavy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's going to be interesting is not so much how do we look at this Sondland piece in a vacuum. How does Sondland's testimony lay up to the testimony of the multitude of other folks that have come up over the last week? And where is the truth? The bigger issue, I think, for especially folks that hate Trump is that this really isn't about will there be an impeachment trial. It's what are the articles of impeachment going to be, right? Mm-hmm. Is it going to be obstruction of justice? Is it going to be something else? But the problem, Rick, is that in the House, they know they're going to bring articles of impeachment, but the Senate's not going to move.
Right.
And so all of this, we talking about all of this is all this media time, all of this attention, all of this focus for what ultimately may just translate to political theater.
Right.
And Trump will remain in office because the Senate won't move based on what the Democrats do. And we would have spent all of this time focused on is he going to get impeached or not, when you and I both know Clinton will tell you can get impeached and stay in office.
Right. Absolutely. And that's what's going to happen because the Senate is not moving on anything. Nobody's speaking out except for Mitt Romney. And no matter what they say, they can say the president shot somebody. And they want to know, well, who told that the president shot somebody? That's what.
Well, hell, but if he shot somebody, at least then the police will come.
Right.
so
and they ain't going to do nothing because they voted for him.
One of the biggest opportunities to really see Trump taken out is really in New York State with the legal issues that he's facing. And so, I say all that to say that I hope that we keep our eye on the ball, because as I see it, the best, if you don't like this president, you don't like what he's bringing, you think that he is bad for the country, this still comes down to you having an opportunity in November of next year to ensure that he's not there.
Right.
Versus hoping that there is a secondary political process vis-a-vis impeachment that in some way, shape, or form magically removes him from office, when impeachment just doesn't do that. The last thing, man, before I get out of here, because I don't want to leave y'all with bad news, is there was an unbelievable woman that we just lost. Her name was Azealia White, and she was the first black woman to earn a pilot's license in the United States.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, man. I just heard about this. She passed last month, but she was 106 years old. And it was first reported in the London Daily Telegraph, and it was underreported in the United States. Nobody talked about it.
Wow.
But her great niece, Amelia Bailey, confirmed, but didn't say, what the cause was. But she was 106 years old, y'all.
Right.
She was a mechanic during World War II, and she worked in Tuskegee, Alabama, with the Tuskegee Airmen, and she received her pilot's license in Alabama March 26, 1946.
Wow.
And so, y'all, this is just an incredible story. Blavity did a great piece on her. And again, her name is Azealia White. She was the first black female pilot that passed in September at 106. And nobody was talking about it. So big up to Blavity for putting this story out so that we know more about her, this unbelievably phenomenal woman that we should all celebrate. Can you imagine being a black woman in 1946 having the nerve to say you could fly?
That's crazy.
Man,
Wow.
she was a gangster.
Now,
Y'all, let's celebrate.
I really
Let's celebrate
need to go get my
that spirit.
pilot license for real. I'm really inspired.
Great.
Like,
I
I really-
so see you flying, Rick.
Yeah.
I fly, but I just don't have my license.
Got you.
Wait, you're not supposed to say that, Ricky.
Well, I know. Hold on.
I mean, you can
You
fly.
can get a ticket.
Yeah, you can fly with the pilot with the
got a
license.
permit.
You can fly,
Yeah.
but to fly by yourself.
Because, if you start taking flying lessons, you're going to be flying.
Right.
Right.
Because you have to log a certain number of hours before you can even get the license.
Duh, Shanika, just like having your permit.
It's like a permit.
At least I didn't
And
say
it's
nothing about
safer.
being
I'd rather
underwater.
be in the air than on the road, especially in Atlanta.
Boy, don't start talking about 85 and two. Boy.
Oh, you got
Woo.
jokes. What?
No.
I said
no.
at least I didn't say anything about being underwater, like chilling.
Oh, you got jokes?
Wait, you talking about the boat?
Yeah.
We're talking about that van that was underwater in Lake Lanier. We not
Oh,
going.
yeah.
She got jokes.
Like, don't come for me.
Hey, Jeff.
Because I'm ready.
Jeff, let me tell you what happened this
I'm
morning.
sorry, Jeff. We trashed
So
you.
Shanika said, hey, it was a van found up under the water with two men in it. Guess what Eva gonna ask Shanika? She said, were they alive?
What's up?